Well, a very good morning to you. Welcome to day 2 of the week. And boy, it's another exciting opportunity to come your way, come into your homes and refresh you in the course of these 4 hours. My name is Benjamin Akako and I do this in the company of Bernice Abubedu Lanza. Thank you for joining us. Now, coming up this morning, we're going to be serving you the news in a bit. And then for the news review, guess who joins me? Political analyst and at the Pentecost University, Dr. Christopher Ampedu. He is our guest this morning as we get into the newspapers. After which, we'll be presenting sports to you with Mubarak Haruna. And right after that, we get into our big stories. Now, number 1 on the chopping board, the Africa Agribusiness Excellence and Leadership Awards 2023 is to be held alongside Agro-Food and Plast Print Pack Ghana 2023. It promises to be another one of the biggest agribusiness events on the continent as we welcome international participants, basically coming down here to talk agriculture. Now, the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana and partners are organizing this event to be held on the 22nd of November, that is Wednesday, at the Accra International Conference Center. We'll bring you the scoop on all of that and what we can expect as far as that event is concerned. But today we're going to commit a lot of time talking about, yes, our economy. And here's why. We'll bring you another scintillating edition of the Graphic Business Stanbic Bank Breakfast Meeting. And the theme for today's event, fiscal discipline, breaking the political business cycle in 2024. Now, the speakers for this event are a finance and economics lecturer from the University of Ghana, Legon, Dr. Patrick Esuming. There's also the Chief Executive Officer of Petrosol, Michael Bonzobil. They'll be joining us, and in fact, we'll be joining them live from right here in the studios as we bring you every last bit of that event. So stick and stay with us, of course, later on the show, if possible, if time allows it. Would like to pick your thoughts on some of those things they're going to be dilating on. That's what the show looks like this morning. Stick and stay with us, Ghana 4. The news is up next. Thank you for staying with us. Welcome to the News Belt on the AM show. Now we start with something on the economic plane. And former President John Dramani Mahama says the clergy and civil society organizations should be partly blamed for the country's economic woes. He's blaming these groups for failing to criticize government for its profligate spending of loans contracted. Speaking at the Tichiman Timber Market as part of his 2-day tour of the Bono East region, Mr. Mahama said the NDC was prepared to turn around the fortunes of the country. Nana Ojima is on the tour and came through with this report.
According to the former president, loans contracted by the NPP government, which he pegs at $3 billion annually, were not invested in productive ventures. He says the watchdog roles of various actors were left to the NDC alone.
Empenyinfo omomudi yekan asafo penyi imamfo ne adeade wo se kan nokre e kire omohwe oman no so.
The clergy, civil society, and others in authority reneged on their watchdog role. From 2018, all vigilant people noticed the economy continued to dip. The economic crisis was imminent. Only the NDC told the president that his brother, who serves as finance minister, has refused to use the $3 billion loans contracted every year judiciously.
Now, Obianka said, "Men Bobosia, but Bobosia, what is the canaba? For ye addicted to Japadia, a besombo ama or mino."
To the NDC, the ruling government has admitted its inability to put the country on the right track.
Now, President Ankasa Ibusano say, Jessica Samson, say, Esiafano, obey Hunday.
The president himself, in response to questions on the economy, admitted it would take the next president to fix the country. He has lost hope himself.
And so, yeah, the president of Obeba Besi is
We know that the John Mahama administration is the government to fix the challenge.
Any President John Dramani Mahama.
The Building Ghana tour made a stop at Techiman Magazine, where a town hall meeting was organized to seek the concerns of the public for the NDC manifesto for 2024. A national apprenticeship program campaign policy was preferred as a solution to challenges of apprenticeship raised in the meeting.
Adia ebema economy ejina na so ene say yemanyina se wako school mpo a obetimi esua onsano adwuma kakra.
Skills training is one of the means of reviving the economy. Even graduates will have to learn a skill. Even if you want to travel abroad, it is easier to get a job as a skilled person. No matter your qualification, you should learn a skill.
Then we have a national apprenticeship program. Now we are Ghana.
At Benkrom in the Kintampo North constituency, a donation was made to victims of the recent floods in the area. The former president called on government to resource the National Disaster Management Organization for such purpose.
Abraye wabaimu afibia yetisika esiho edema aban ejuma ye friend nadmo enti atorenchem bia sia omutimiba ebeboa omo a sa atorenchem na aka omo.
When we were in government, we released funds for the NADMO promptly for disaster management. But this time when the floods happened, NADMO told us they haven't received funding for the last 2 years. I will plead with government to fund NADMO to support disaster victims.
Sika yete ho ye twagu ho say yemfama NADMO Mr. Finance Minister omba obosaka say ne be ya san nyoma isia omoso betimi aso ano.
Similar town hall meetings were held at Kintampo South and in Kwanzaa North.
The Bono East edition of the Building Ghana tour have been brought to an end. Opinions and challenges of various groupings invited to the town hall meetings will be packaged into a manifesto. It will be replicated in other parts of the country. For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
Now, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has criticized former President John Dramani Mahama for what he sees as empty promises to Ghanaians in the former president's quest to return to power. Dr. Bawumia contends that Mr. Mahama lacks a thorough understanding of his own policies, particularly the 24-hour economy initiative. Now, he wants Ghanaians not to take Mahama's promises seriously and rather support him to bring in new policies for the transformation of the country. Samuel Mbura reports from the Vice President's homecoming tour in the northern regions.
2024 for His Excellency Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia. And in fact, the issue is that Gomama has already done something to this country. And in fact, they are epistolic. So we don't want him to come and then do spiritual harm to us, this country.
The Vice President was warmly welcomed by enthusiastic party supporters during his homecoming tour in his native region, Northeast. His visit included a courtesy call on the overlord of the Mamprogo Kingdom in Nalerigo, followed by a grand rally in Tamale, the northern regional capital. Notable party figures including the MPP National Chairman, Majority Leader, and the entire Northern MPP MPs caucus joined him. Dr. Bawumia addressed the supporters, expressed surprise at the campaign messages of NDC flag John Mahama.
He's going around the whole country and promising everything to everybody. It is as if he has never been president in this country before. It is as if he has never been president. It is as if he has just landed from Mars.
He particularly criticized his his understanding of the 24-hour economy policy.
Today, because of digitalization, the banks, you can transfer money 24 hours. You can receive money 24 hours. Isn't it? So he doesn't understand his own policy. It does not make sense. And I want you to vote in 2024 for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. I will bring a new vision. I will bring new policies, and we will transform this country. John Mahama is the past.
While highlighting his own achievements as Vice President, Dr. Bawumia challenged Mahama to present a single idea from his tenure as Vice President.
What idea did he bring as Vice President? He did not bring even one idea to the table. And I challenge anybody to tell us one idea that Dr. Mahama brought. Dr. Bawumia has brought idea after idea after idea after idea.
Majority Leader Oseche Mensah-Bonsu asserted that Dr. Bawumia is pivotal to reshaping the economy, a reason all of them are supporting him.
Bawumia, we have tremendous belief that with him, this country will experience a turnaround. He is the one with the key. He is the one with the key to reposition this country. That is why all of us are following him.
Minister for Lands and Natural Resources and MP for Damango, Samuel Abu-Janapo, also emphasized that Dr. Bawumia's selection to lead the MPP is based on his integrity, not because he is a Northerner.
And we present him not because he's a Northerner, not because he's a Mamprugu, not because he's the great son of Nagbewa, not because of that, not just because of that, but because he has shown that he's a competent Northerner, he's a hard-working Northerner, and he has a vision to transform this country.
The Vice President's homecoming tour will extend to Yendi, Bimbila, and Damango in the Savannah region later in the day. Samuel Mbura, Joy News, Tamale.
Let's talk health now. 40% of children living with HIV and AIDS are unaware of their status in West and Central Africa, while mother-to-child transmission remains high, reaching 64% in these two regions. This revelation came to light at the opening of a 3-day regional HIV and AIDS summit in Accra by the executive director of the Civil Society Institute for Health in West and Central Africa, Ngwisali Turpin. Now, the primary objective of this conference is to devise effective strategies to significantly reduce these figures, aligning with the 2030 UN HIV goals. Carlos Caloni has the rest of the story.
Representatives from government and civil society organizations across 20 African countries, along with donor organizations such as World Health Organization and the USAID, have convened at the 3-day regional summit addressing the end of AIDS in children in West and Central Africa. Speaking to Joy News on the sidelines, the director of the Civil Society Institute for Health in West and Central Africa, Ngwisali Turpin, emphasized the summit's crucial role in crafting viable solutions to empower CSOs in the sector.
Unfortunately, we only have 60% of children living with HIV that actually know their status. We also see that, unfortunately, we have a rate of around 65% new HIV infections that were acquired that were transmitted to children because their mothers did not receive the adequate ARV treatment that is in existence. So what we are really trying to put the focus on is that community organizations, civil society organizations need to be empowered. They need to be given the means to do testing, to do outreach, and also to contribute in terms of care and support.
Underlining the necessity for stronger collaboration between state and non-state actors, Program Manager for the National AIDS Control Program, Dr. Stephen A.C. Hedo, highlighted key interventions by the Ghana Health Service in combating HIV in Ghana.
Based on all the analysis, we've realized that if we have to end the epidemic, the public sector alone, the private sector alone cannot. We need to work closely with the civil society organizations. And already we have started that discussion. Next year, the Global Fund to Fight AIDS, TB, and Malaria has provided resources to strengthen further this partnership and collaboration with non-state actors. The Ghana Health Service is going to work very closely with civil society organizations to implement community initiatives in the cascade of care from testing, treatment, retention, and viral suppression.
On his part, President of the Ghana HIV/AIDS Network, Ernest Otsen, underscored that funding remains a significant challenge for CSOs in Ghana. He stressed the importance of allocating resources to combat the disease, considering the country's high HIV prevalence.
If you look at our statistics, we have about 354,000 persons living with HIV in this country. About 80% of them are children. So that is quite high a number, and that is why we need the support of government in addressing pediatric HIV. This is something that we can achieve. So all we need is for government to provide domestic resources to address this issue of pediatric HIV.
Otsen also expressed commitment of CSOs in Ghana to work towards making Ghana the first country in the region to achieve the 2030 goals on the disease.
What we are committed to doing as a civil society group working with the government is to make sure that Ghana will become the first country south of the Sahara to eliminate mother-to-child transmission of HIV and AIDS. We also want to be the first country to, by 2030, eliminate HIV and AIDS as a public health concern.
The Member of Parliament for Dafiama Bisi Isa constituency and member of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health, Sebastian Sandari, emphasized the legislature's role in ensuring that allocated resources for the fight are effectively utilized.
What we can do as legislature, as members of parliament, is to ensure that one, there are enough budgetary allocations for HIV care, is to ensure that we play our oversight role, to ensure that whatever funds that are dedicated for HIV care are well utilized.
At the end of the three-day summit, an actionable solution is anticipated to be unveiled, further strengthening collaboration between government and CSOs to achieve the 2030 goals. Carlos Galoni, Joy News.
In our next story, advocates for neonatal care are asking government to include their health care in the National Health Insurance Scheme. According to the advocates, a child's first benefit from the state is the ability to live when born before the 40-week gestational period, an assistance which, when denied, could lead to death. Currently documented as one of the leading causes of death among newborns, the advocates want government to increase funding for neonatal care as a means of ending preventable deaths of newborns and children under 5 years in its quest to achieve the SDG target 3.2 by 2023. Hannah Dami has more in this report.
Mothers of preterm babies often have to stay in hospitals for as long as their babies receive care. This affects their finances and general well-being. Some are thrown into a state of despair, confusion, and guilt. Olivia Sakwa has been at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital for the past 3 weeks, waiting for her third child, born at 32 weeks, to be discharged. The financial burden, she says, is draining, reason why governmental support is needed.
If you, the mother, you've been discharged, it means you have no bed to sleep on, so you have to sit till daybreak so you can take care of your baby as well. And aside that, buying drugs, going for labs, it also stresses us. So actually, if the government can provide beds for mothers being taken care of premature babies.
Aside that, some mothers continue to live in denial about the situation of their babies. But Gloria Abaka, who delivered at 33 weeks, encourages her fellow mothers to give their best love to the children during these moments, as that aids the growth of their babies.
So, hospital, I realize that when we love our children, when they are in this situation, they come out faster than we thought.
An NGO, African Foundation for Premature Babies and Neonatal Care, occasionally support these mothers through diverse means to alleviate their plight. Selina Bintum has been leading this cause.
The cost of care in the NICU is expensive. The NHIS covers very little portion, probably less than 10%. And for the amount that it covers, it does not extend to essential part of care, like medication that is expensive, that the baby needs to survive. And so it is not an excuse for a Ghanaian, a baby, who is born Ghanaian at that age to die. Even if it's just one baby dying every year because of this, it is still not fair, and we can do more.
Stanbic Investment Management Services, which assured of continuous support for the mothers, also promised to be a voice so government can respond urgently by increasing investment in neonatal care. Desmond Bredu is head of client coverage.
For us, we believe in sustainability, so we are not just looking at just a one-time thing, but how can we partner other institutions, how can we echo the message, because that's where we can get to have more people come on board.
From the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, I am Hannah Odame for Joy News.
Now, some concerned residents in Hedo, a suburb of Ho, are worried about the construction of a liquefied petroleum gas station in a residential area. They argue that siting the station very close to an electricity transformer increases the risk factor of a disaster in the enclave, since it harbors several homes. They are asking relevant authorities to step in and prevent the developer from going ahead to construct the LPG station in their vicinity.
Hedo lies in the northeastern side of the Volta regional capital. The suburb serves as home to hundreds of residents and harbors some businesses, educational institutions and churches. However, there is a new development in the area that has injected fear into the residents.
Block me happen mo kata be over filling station do pe kemi nyanya ke chonti mi gborola do ko vale mi ajule fia mi gboro se are ewu mi do ko mi va call you there cancel gas filling station do mo le gba mi bia wo mo nyanya ke cho amobe mo nyanya ke chonti because no one we are fia school pele no le fia church o le fia fi ke mi apo ho tere unti mi tell an do han exactly zala over the door le fia.
Joy News investigations revealed that the investor was given a permit to construct a liquid petroleum gas station in the residential area in 2018. A move to undertake construction works in the past was heavily objected by the residents.
About 5 or 6 years ago, some men came that they had wanted, even they were saying filling station. They want to make filling station here, so that some of us will be collecting petrol free for 1 year or at least 6 months. Even the whole area, nobody agreed to that suggestion.
It is, however, surprising that the developer has decided to go ahead with the project after 5 years. The residents are alarmed because the station is in close proximity to homes, while an electricity transformer is situated at the entrance of the site. They fear the least form of disaster may ravage their homes and businesses and destroy their lifetime properties.
By mistake, overdo gas filling station and jola
e kanche maybe amofe vu afiare akonam ata mi le kuku de ne jukobe nki wa de fi olela me de mi aji ota
kwa mota ku baba ko kaka manyare amegbeto we yewa ya beyo mawuyo ape gas ke bi atu fofo nam de me te kuku ne ejiruru yire kaya na kpele wuye yire kaya na kpele wuye gas ke banyame na me yesu bole maku me la kuku baje eno chena chipere ejinyama fo da como chia
ta mi la kuku gande fi ke permit chola no stopping ko be awana ta wan bubu ata to ko bubu fanga ke gas e ala mi me dasi de jio ata wan bubu le tepa mi le apo va etan to ko bubu ka ke gas ya mele ko ma aya mole akpuno mi den kaka trafaga barasike agblen life we.
The residents are hoping the authorities will hear their plea to prohibit the developer from going ahead with the project to ensure the safety of their lives and properties. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News. Oh.
It's a wrap for the news. Thank you for staying, but stay even longer because right after this, we serve you the news review with Dr. Christopher Ampedu, who's a political analyst with the Pentecost University. Here's our guest. Do stay. Here we are back for the news review as promised, and we're grateful that you've stayed with us. This segment is always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Now, here's what they're offering you. Pay attention. It's about your health, and you know your health is your what? You know it, your wealth. So they are offering you, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic is offering you free prostate screening if you're a man, especially if you're over 40. I would say even as early as 35, because we in this region tend to be more prone to prostate issues. That's a fact, scientifically proven. If you're a woman and you don't know your fertility status, you could be actually sitting on a time bomb. So how about you just get yourself screened? And guess what? It's for free. So make your way to any of the branches of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Here in Accra, they're at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, Kronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. In Takra, they are Naji Estate. Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, as well as Isiama and Zema. If you'd like to reach them on phone, which I highly recommend that you do, the numbers are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease, but only the commencement, the start of the news review. Joining us this morning for that discussion, we have Dr. Ampedu joining the discussion. Dr. Christopher Ampedu, a political analyst at the Pentecost University. Doc, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining the discussion. You would have to unmute, Doc. Okay, there we are. We'll try to get that sorted out. Of course, today we have a stack of papers, the Daily Graphic, Ghanaian Times, Daily Guide, the Finder newspaper, Economy Times as well, that we'll be getting into. Doc, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's a bit low, but we'll rectify that. I hope you're well.
Oh, by God's grace, I'm doing great.
Okay, I don't know what it is with the sound, but we'll try to manage with that. So I'd like to start off by looking, since you're a political analyst, contemplating the two political parties, the NDC and the MPP. Now, the NDC, of course, selected its flag bearer quite a while ago. The MPP recently selected its flag bearer. And in recent times, there's been a furore, on as far as both candidates, flag bearers, are concerned. But the message they've been putting out there, the vice president says he's the best person to lead this country. He touted his economic credentials. He touted his digital credentials. He has said that as vice president, he has come through with so many ideas. That's what he says. That's what he's been saying on his tour of the northern belt of the country. The former president, John Dramani Mahama, has also said, I'm going to introduce a 24-hour economy. I'm going to revitalize the economy. He says the current president had even intimated, which he did at a point, that it's the next president who would, suggesting that it's the next president who would resolve our economic woes. He has said that he's going to cancel the teacher licensure exam, but not take away the licensure system, but change the modalities. All of these, they've been talking about so many things, economics, education, and all of that. But from what you see so far, what do you think? What do you make of these promises that are being made? Which ones do you think will stand the test of time? And which ones do you think are just wishy-washy propaganda?
Thank you so much. And good morning to your listeners, and good morning to your crew. It's quite interesting. I can just comment by saying that what I'm hearing has more to do with political propaganda than being serious with issues. Because these two guys are people we have known. And we have known Bawumia being the chief economic advisor to the present government.
So the head of the economic management team.
Right. What he has said and what they have done, their performance so far, as we see today. And I believe that Ghanaians would understand that unless maybe he comes to do something different, we'll judge him by their performance as far as this 7 years going into 8 years is concerned. And so I don't see anything serious in what both of them are saying. I mean, listening to the past president, Mahama, I think he's just rehearsing certain things he has said and keep on saying he will do. But then we have known him also as the head of the economic management team during when he was vice president and when he was given the opportunity, to rule this nation for another 4 years. We have known him. And so I would take all that they are saying with a pinch of salt, because I am not seriously convinced of their sincerity as far as managing this nation is concerned. When they are in power, yes, they are so different than when they want power. And I believe Ghanaians are now awakening to this type of political talks that politicians give us when they want power. And we are very cautious just to make conclusions that they will stick to their words, or they will really keep to their words when they come on power. Because so far, they have not proved sincere to what they tell us when they want power. And so let's look at what will happen, and let's see what Ghanaians will make out of what they are saying, and make conclusions based on what they are going to vote for.
For those of you who may not be finding the feed on the normal thread or Joy News on Facebook, just go to videos. Just when you get to the Joy News platform on Facebook, just go to videos, click on it. And I noticed since yesterday there have been some issues. So just go to Joy News on Facebook, click on videos, and then you'll see the live feed as we have it now. And you can share as well. So there's this political ping pong that they play with us. But if you look at the performance of the previous administration and you look at the performance of this administration 7 years into it, let me just limit it to the economic front and education. And maybe even let me add agriculture, because there's a lot going on in that regard, a lot of hue and cry, a lot of complaints, but at the same time there's planting for food and jobs and all of that. If you look at these three key areas, so I'm going to reiterate, the economy, which has been focal in past elections, education, which has been in turmoil in some regard, and agriculture. What is your reading? What do you think has been done right? What do you think has been done wrong? And which administration would you say has fared better?
Thank you. We're coming to education. I think this present government has done a lot, especially when we look at the STEM programs they've brought in terms of the science and education. And we also can talk of the free education that has given access to many, many thousands of people who hitherto would have had no chance to go into secondary school. Now it's making secondary school as basic education in Ghana, which I think is very laudable. And looking at the emphasis that is being given for science and technology and the type of buildings and institutions that are being built to accommodate this science and technology education, I think is laudable. And I can say that they have done a lot, even though the previous government, led by President Mahama, also built a whole lot of schools and buildings for education. But in terms of pushing education forward, making the Ghanaian more literate in terms of access to secondary education, making the Ghanaian see the importance of science education. In our present dispensation, I think this government has moved education forward. And if we can continue, I believe that education, and for that matter, human development in Ghana will move forward comparative to world other educational systems. In terms of economy, now you see the government was doing fine initially. This present government was doing fine initially when some disturbances really happened, which was global problem that were encountered. That is not to excuse the government by not performing or doing what is expected of them. They went for too much loans, and instead of helping Ghana move this nation forward, the loans so received cannot be said to have been used for the betterment of the nation. So there are a lot of questions people are asking. So much debt, so much money, and yet the Ghanaian continue to wallow in poverty. Now there are questions. So if you compare that to President Mahama's economic system, we cannot say that they were better, because for me, all governments have been changed based on corruption issues. So even though Mahama didn't go in for such amount of loans or money, they didn't access so much money to manage the economy, they were also in a mess. In fact, it was based on the economic mismanagement. That was why they were voted out. And so,
would you say, since we're talking about the economy now, and just to chip in on education, I feel that whichever administration we've had, especially in our Fourth Republic, they give us sprinkles, the dust of education, and make a whole lot of noise about it, all the way from Rawlings through Kufuor. Kufuor did some nice things, school feeding and all of that. But they don't give the kind of education that gets you really thinking, especially at the highest levels. If you look at those countries which are really accelerating, here's why I feel this way. You listen to people, on the back of recently the selection of Dr. Bawumia, I listened to some people who are saying, oh, they would vote, for example, for the MPP come 2024, and the reasons they were giving. I mean, blimey. You listen to the other side, some reasons that people will cite, oh, this is why I'll vote for the NDC. And sometimes you ask yourself, are we even in line with the proper alignment of what is happening, what is on the ground, and the things we should be focusing on? So that is another angle. But you spoke about the economy. Has the corruption become any better? if you look at the metrics, we've become worse. When you look at inflation, when you look at the exchange rate, when you look at the general quality of life, economically speaking, what do you see?
Well, what you are saying is so right. And just to comment on education, it seems that there is a problem when it comes to politics and party politics, for that matter. I think people don't even take time to reflect objectively as to how to align ourselves to issues before even talking about our commitment or allegiance to a particular political party. I think it is not a matter of education or objective analysis of issues that align people to a particular political party. Rather, I think people think more of what they can benefit, what they can get. And as far as that supersedes their objective analysis of issues, they are not going to give a very comprehensive analysis to issues. They will just be skewed towards a particular political party because that's where they align themselves to. And besides, when they gain power, they know what they'll gain from it. Right. So it doesn't give us a very thorough discussions, objective analysis of issues before even we make conclusions as far as aligning ourselves to a particular political party is concerned, or even saying that we support or do not support. Once I'm an NDC man, then it means anything that goes with MPP is just wrong. And if I'm an MPP, everything that goes with MPP is right and NDC is wrong. So objective analysis of issues is nil, and that's the problem we have. Right. But then economically, I don't think, for me as an example, I don't think any of these political parties have made us better. I don't think so. I think things are getting worse and worse and worse, even though they claim to have made some economic advancement, which at the grassroots level, we cannot say it. People are getting more, being drawn into poverty, hunger, and deprivations. And as far as more of the population continue to wallow in this state of affairs, it's difficult to say that we have made some economic improvement.
All right. Very quickly, because I want us now to get into the papers, but on the front of agriculture, in about some 40 seconds, what do you think?
Well, in terms of agriculture, I think both political parties have done well. You know, as we know about politics, each government comes and then just do their best. So we can say that Mahama's time, Agric also took some good decisions that improve food production and also food availability. At the same time, when you talk about MPP, with the policies that were brought out, it has helped to bring in more food stuff. But then, when again you listen to the costs of food comparatively, Ghana is one of the most expensive areas where food purchase is so high. Right. So then, when you talk of improvement, what type of improvement if life is so hard, especially in the rural areas? When you go to rural areas where we think it's better to live formally because that's where food is so cheap. Now, food in these areas have become even more expensive than in Accra.
It's not the same anymore.
So I don't think it's better for us.
Well, interesting perspectives. And if you look at the tide of things, we can only pray for better times. But of course, prayers alone, I have always said, God will not come down and do for man what man can do for himself. You put in the effort and God does the rest. So if you fail to think to ameliorate your situation, God will not come down and till the farm or sow the seed for you. So you will go hungry. And that's where I feel we find ourselves. But let's get into the papers now. The Daily Graphic newspaper. Oh, were you saying something?
Yes, I was saying that, you see, God has already done his part. What is left is for us man to also do our part. So you can't shake our responsibilities and just pray and hope that God will do it when we are messing up things. No.
Right.
We have to do our part.
The Daily Graphic, 3 cement factories defy GSA ban. 3 cement factories in the Ashanti region sanctioned for producing cement with inferior materials. Be careful where you buy your cement. Inferior materials have been found to be operating despite a ban on their operations by the Ghana Standards Authority. Shing and Safe Cement Ghana Limited, Kumasi Cement Ghana Limited, and Unisim Cement Ghana Limited were banned last week from producing cement due to concerns over the quality of their products. However, it has come to light that those manufacturers have continued to operate and are producing cement using the same substandard materials. The Director General of the GSA, Professor Alex Dodu, told the Daily Graphic in an interview that unannounced visits to the premises of the 3 companies by the GSA enforcement team showed that they had resumed full operation without authorization. This happens probably only in Ghana, because if you can have a GSA tell an entity, don't go ahead, your products are substandard, yet they can flout it. And I guess you might go in there and find some political connections and this and that. Right. And look at, I mean, I'm sorry to say this, I don't like stereotyping, but nowadays when you hear practically 2 or 3 negative things, there's a Chinese somewhere, there's a Chinese entity somewhere in there. And I don't know why we are not waking up to the reality of some of these things. Like I said, I don't like stereotyping any group, anybody, but it's becoming quite a hydra-headed problem. You think of galamsey, you think of certain other ales, you think of some products that are brought into the country. Now, even some of these productions, and it is because our politicians are on the take. And so they don't care. They'll take what they will, allow outfits that probably shouldn't be operating to operate, and there we are. So you go and buy this cement, put up your edifice. Within a short while, you may even see your edifice crumble to the ground like we've seen in some places, or it may start developing faults long before it should. There's also this, let me just put together a few issues and then get your reaction. Restructure economy to consolidate IMF gains. That's the PwC to government. Now, the government must make fundamental changes in the structure of the economy and aggressively implement the public financial management law to ensure greater scrutiny and monitoring of the expenditure of ministries, departments, and agencies. A country senior partner of PricewaterhouseCoopers Ghana, Vish Ashiagbo, who gave the advice, said that would help consolidate the gains chalked up under the IMF program. And finally, Liberia's president-elect, Boakai, to review mining concessions. So that's what's happening in Liberia. Of course, I doff my hat to George Weah, who willingly, gladly, maybe not gladly, but in a very political correct manner, conceded the election, losing with over 20,000 votes. Any reactions to these stories, Doc?
Yes, thank you. Well, it's great. What's happened in Liberia, I think, is something that goes to affirm the fact that Africans, we are really moving forward as far as our political dispensations are concerned. The past where people are always going to court that we don't accept the result, that like what happened in Ghana, what happened in Nigeria, at the end of it, I mean, the same results were declared as being final results. And so it was just wonderful to hear upon Weah to see the fact that, yes, he lost and congratulated Boakai. I believe that if we can just accept defeat and then move our nations forward, that will go a long way to advance our political dispensation. Now, coming to...
But since you're a political analyst, if there's rigging, should you accept it just for the sake of peace or for the sake of some stability?
No.
If you know very well that wrong was done, should you sit back and say, for the sake of peace, let's go forward?
No, I'm not saying that. But you see, the various issues that have been sent to court, for example, in Ghana, during the time when NPP was in opposition, they went to the courts. What happened? At the same time when NDC was in opposition and issues were sent to the court, what were the results? Look at what happened in Nigeria. We see the opposition went to court. So it appears that, well, we would make allegations of rigging here and there. But at the end of it all, what is the outcome of the court proceedings? The same people who were declared as winners won at the end of it all. That does not mean that we should just keep our eyes shut to allow people to just to do their own thing and then take power that they don't deserve. That's not what I'm saying anyway. So thank you for that. And looking at the cement factory that has been shut down, I mean, you see, we are in a very, very desperate country where people are paid to do work of supervision to ensure that the things are done. And people are giving all that is needed to be effective in what you are doing. But then what do we see? Because of corruption, thievery, greed. Now, how can it happen? Where can it happen? When a factory has been shut down and yet the factory reopened into full operation without government officials appointed to ensure that the right thing is done, is not aware of. Meanwhile, these are people who always go to their offices, sit in air-conditioned rooms, and then receive all that is needed to make them comfortable. And so it is so sad that we are in such a nation where people don't seem not to even love the nation. They are so greedy for what they will gain from their work than to ensure that the right thing is done. And so if there's going to be some, as was pointed out, some economic restructure whereby monitoring and supervision can be done and done more effectively. But then even I'm still not comfortable because this kind of things have been done over and over and over. But because of the corrupt nature of people and for the fact that institutions are not working effectively, people just do what they want and they go scot-free. And so let's pray that this time around we'll have people who fear God and as such we want to do right to move Ghana forward.
All right. Let's quickly, I will not delve into these. I'll just take a quick look at them. Economic issues will dominate 2024 electioneering. That's according to Dr. Osai Kwapong. Of course, it comes as no news. We're fully aware that the issues of the economy will be one of those pivotal, crucial ones. And according to him, they will dominate the 2024 electioneering. Like I was asking earlier, which entity would you trust better with the economy? This current administration or the previous administration? Or maybe the Alan Chematings and the others who are also standing in the gap as independent candidates, likely. UGMC performs beating heart surgery, and the surgery, otherwise known as off-pump coronary artery bypass, was performed on 2 adults, a 70-year-old retired teacher and a 67-year-old businesswoman, who are among 6 patients who underwent complex cardiac surgical procedures at the center. Congratulations to the team at the University of Ghana Medical Center. But I want your take on this matter. NPP sacks Boniface Sadiq, Yawabena Samwa, and 2 others. We know them, Nano Heninto, among others, and I think Hobson Adoye, for breach of party constitution. That story on the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. There's also Parliament won't bow to IMF pressure. That's according to the Speaker. So what exactly is he saying? He says he has served notice that the House will not bow to the pressures of the IMF in the passage of legislations to satisfy its conditions for the agreements with government for the $3 billion extended credit facility to Ghana. The long arm of the IMF, the Speaker said, was all over the budget, including the request for the affirmative action bill to be passed under a certificate of urgency. In other words, when you're a beggar, sometimes a lot of the time you'll be told all kinds of stuff because you cannot manage your own affairs. But what do you make of the purported sacking of these 4 from the MPP? What's your quick take on that, Doc?
Thank you so much. It's quite interesting, very interesting, because we've just had MPP presidential elections where key people like regional executive members, MPs, ministers declare their support for a particular candidate. Now, when you look into the MPP, their laws or their own rules and regulations, they do not allow such things to be done. And these things went on so clearly all over the place. The executive couldn't come out to even tell the public that it's right for them to do, or not just right. And we know all the other presidential candidates really were so peeved about that. The party executive couldn't say anything. So it's interesting now for them to come out to say that these people are sacked from the party because they support Chairman. Now, the interesting thing is that, you see, Chairman is not just an ordinary MPP guy. Surely, some people support him. Now, Chairman is not coming out with a political party. So even though he will stand for presidential elections, many of his followers will still vote for the MPP. Now, when you put out such statements of sacking people, you know what? You are bringing animosity into the political party. So,
but that is what their constitution says. If you lend your support to a candidate other than that which the party has selected, you automatically sack yourself, and they are merely reiterating that. The question is whether that should even be in their constitution. That's another matter for discussion.
Okay, but then if you are serious, a disciplined political party, why is that certain parts were breached some time ago and you didn't say anything? Now, people have taken this step, and now you are saying that, yes, we need to bring discipline. The laws must work. Is there a time where the laws work, and at a particular point in time, it doesn't work? Fairness must be seen. Besides, we are talking of a political party where numbers are so important. And so if you are dealing with such issues, I think, even though you may be taking the right decision, you have to be very careful, because at the end of it, you should think seriously whether this will benefit us at the long run.
Right.
Sacking these people, I think, in one way or the other, so brings discipline to the party. On the other hand, I think the MPP is going to lose it, because people who are going to vote skirt and blouse may not even vote the blouse.
Right.
They will stay at home. It is not good for the party.
They may stay at home. We have to go, Doc, in the next minute, but let me just, the Daily Guide newspaper reiterates that. It says NPP sacks 4 rebels. There's also police grab bold robbers, and Mahama snaps NDC executives in regional tour. In fact, in that paper as well, there's the issue of Major Mahama lynching self-defense. That's according to a lawyer of some of the accused. But the story I want you to focus on: trade organizations kick against 2024 budget. GUTA is one of them, the Ghana Union of Traders Association. And this is a quote from the president. This 2024 budget is going to impact businesses negatively. In the broader picture, our demands were not met. The cost of doing business is high. Macroeconomic framework has been prepared to achieve the objective of the IMF-supported PCPEG through the underlisted priorities. That's in the Economy Times newspaper. What do you make of the 2024 budget? Were you excited about anything in it?
Well, somehow I was excited about some of the taxes that were not increased and also seem to have been removed. But then we say this just, I don't think it's enough to give relief to the ordinary Ghanaian. Business people may say it differently, and some may be happy, some may not, but I don't even trust these business people, because most of the times they are out there. I've never seen a time when government has reduced a tax for business or traders to say that because tax have been reduced, we are also reducing the cost of what we sell. No. Prices have never been reduced because governments have reduced anything.
Right.
I mean, our traders and our business people sometimes cannot also, like politicians, be trusted. And so we can say that, well, they've done their best, and let's see what goes on in the future.
Doc, we're very grateful for your time. Thank you for having breakfast with us this morning. Dr. Christopher Ampedu is a political analyst, Pentecost University. He has been our guest. Doc, we wish you the best of the day. The Economy Times also says the Bank of Ghana is to cut the policy rate. Of course, it's moving it by 100 basis points or 1% from 30 to 29. Just before we get into sports, this segment has always been brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering free prostate screening if you're a man, free fertility screening if you're a woman. Here's where you can locate them. In Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi, Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex, the Stakrade Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hansua, and Esiama and Zama. The call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Of course, helping us come to the end of the news review. Up next, we have sports with Mubarak Haruna. Do stay. Welcome back on the AM show. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. And of course, we're going to be talking agriculture to kickstart the show. That's our big story. Of course, right after that, we'll get into the graphic Stanbic breakfast meeting. But for now, the Africa Agribusiness Excellence and Leadership Awards 2023 is to be held alongside Agro-Food and Plast Print Pack Ghana 2023. Promises to be another one of the biggest agribusiness events on the continent as we welcome international participation. Now, the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana and partners are organizing this event to be held on the 22nd of November. That's actually tomorrow at the Accra International Conference Center, Grand Arena. It's being organized in collaboration with AHK Ghana, a delegation of German industry and commerce in Ghana, and supported by Fair Trade Messe, the organizers of Agro-Food and Plast Print Pack Ghana 2023 exhibition and conference. Well, joining me in the studio to shed some light on that event, we call him Farmer, Anthony Morrison. He's Chief Executive, Chamber of Agribusiness. Good morning.
Good morning,
Anthony. And good to have you on the show.
It's been a while.
It has. You've got me thinking back to our school days. I wish I'd been your senior then to punish you.
You miss your regular cocoa, eh? The one from the pantry, you like it so much.
Nipa bread, like we've suffered.
This guy like beans with a lot of weevils, with a lot of oil.
Is it that I liked or it was what was available?
You loved it. I mean, that nourished you. You were so short. Look at your height.
You realize how smallish I was at the time?
Yeah, I mean, you should go back and pay homage to Bishop Herman.
Bishop Herman, of course, we always pay homage to our alma mater. And look at how we turned out. So interesting stuff.
Yeah. And big ups to the guys out there who are doing so well.
Anyway, I'll talk about your food eating, dining hall exploits.
I love that.
Exploits
I love
later.
that. You know the kinky.
The kinky was a special one.
Special,
though,
yeah. Nobody misses kinky.
You get some fish. Charlie, but we've seen times before.
I'm telling you, the jigbe fish, the fried ones from Jigbe.
You're bringing back so many memories. Anyway, so let's get into the conversation. Even as we talk about agric, of course, we have to talk about food-related items. We have the Chamber of, Agric and what you've actually been doing. But I'd like to find out from you, what has your chamber been up to over the last few years? You've organized a few events, but what have you been up to?
Thank you very much, Benjamin, and very good morning to your cherished viewers. Well, the Chamber of Agribusiness was formed some 7.5 years ago through a CADEP African Union program on the stock taking of continental agribusiness chambers in Africa. Throughout the process, the Chamber has actually formalized itself with the Ghana's agribusiness sector, and we have been very key in pushing a lot of industry support. We're looking at advocacy issues with regulatory that affect our members and the general industry. We also seek to support our members in the trade exploration, trade facilitation, trade promotion. We also provide a lot of capacity building for them. We also try to support some of them with some finance interventions. And overall, we also work closely with government in areas of policy designs, joining some national stakeholder committees to provide our expert opinion on national policies and what have you.
I see. You've been helping to shape policy, which I find interesting then, because if you look at the current state of agriculture, maybe even linking it to the 2024 budget and what it says about agriculture, what do you see in there?
Well, I must say that we have done our bit, and we are actually grateful that even though it was still created by the same government, that the duties at the port has finally been taken off, but the impact still remains quite something that we need to begin to work around how to solve it. That notwithstanding, some elements within the budget, for instance, if you look at the poultry importation and what is being worked towards, we want to say that it's just too small, a drop in the ocean. 15,000 metric tons is not what we should be looking at. Looking at the 1.2 billion poultry importation bill, and also just oppose that with the rice. Coming to the studio, I listened to the trade ministry or the trade minister talking about abolition of rice importation. And I think that'll be good for the industry. It will bring some incentives. It will bring some private sector investment like what Jospon is doing. Right. And we need several such people. So, sometimes you just need the government to move some of these trade tools, support and give some vibrancy to the economy. And I think that this will be good for the sector. But we also want to say that they should also be brave to stop poultry importation, so that we can.
That's a tricky one.
Well, if you are stopping,
I remember Akoko Dako and all those back then. But the poultry industry is not what it used to be.
Yes. So if you are stopping rice importation, we are going to have a lot of rice brands, and rice brands are a major component of livestock feeding. So if you are going to stop rice, and rice is less than 6 months production, so why don't you also begin to take steps? Because the poultry industry is actually the biggest employer in the whole of the value chain.
I see.
Yes. So it's actually the sector that vibrates and gives impact to the whole sector. So if the poultry sector is doing, that means the
general agricultural sector?
Yeah. If poultry sector is doing, that means that the grain sector is working well. That's your maize, your regular cocoa and kinky that you love so much, your banku and tilapia. Then that means that the soya is also, the soya sector is doing well, rice sector is doing well.
Soya has had its own challenges in recent years and all of that. So basically, when you look at it from an overall point of view, the 2024 budget, for example, what it points to in terms of agriculture, is 2024 going to be a better year for agric?
Not that I think of. Looking at the 44 million budget allocation towards the industry, we are importing somewhere close to about $10 billion of food importation. If we are really serious and we want to work towards a 10-year strategy or a 7-year strategy, we shouldn't be looking at anything less than $1 billion investment into agriculture. Look, mind you, we import fat and oil, fruit juice, tomatoes, rice, sugar, poultry, meat, wheat. Just name them, several of them. I can continue naming them. So we need to make sure that any kind of investment actually is not a drop in the ocean. It's not just scratching the surface, but actually feeling the impact on the ground. We are importing all our 90% of our grains and cereals, okay? The seeds, we import them. All 90% of vegetable seeds, we import them. We do not have, as a country, a national seed bank.
I thought the CSIR had some things going on in that respect in terms of seeds.
If you look at the national seed album, it's only one seed that is named there. So
which is what?
Which is the Legon 18. So apart from Legon 18, which is pepper, what else?
Okay. So in other words, we need some sustenance of that locally.
Yes, because for instance, as I said, National Seed Bank is critical to every country. That is where if we can't produce our own seed and there is no country importing,
means we're going to starve.
We are going to starve. We need a National Seed Bank that can keep seed for 3 years, 5 years. But we do not. So there is quite a lot of things that we need to do as a country.
This actually reminds me of the biblical, Joseph in Egypt and the storing of grain ahead of time.
That's it.
And, it appears we are not forecasting correctly. But let's zero in now on the Agribusiness Excellence and Leadership Awards. This isn't the first time you're organizing it. Which edition is this?
So actually, this should have been the 5th edition.
Okay.
But because of our new partnership with our profound partners, AHK and Fairtrade, Geovision, we had a discussion and we thought that the time was ripe to distinguish the awards that has been done over the years. So we rechristened it the African Agribusiness. So it used to be the Ghana Agribusiness Excellence and Leadership Awards. We are hosting the After Secretariat. So we need to begin to transform our activities to make sure that we aligned everything that we do in conformity to the continental trade and areas that, most importantly, because it's being held within this prestigious program where you are going to have about over 74 global exhibitors and other global participants partaking in this event, which is starting today. We rechristened it the African Agribusiness, which is actually looking at all the various value chains. So it's the Real Agro Industry Awards. So we're looking at the agro processing, we're looking at the women, gender, we're looking at social enterprise, we're looking at policy, we're looking at TVET. TVET, do you know how many skills we import into the agriculture sector and which countries they come from? India, Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, South Africa, UK. We import skills all over the place. So TVET is a major part of these awards. And we also,
this is the first time you are incorporating TVET into it?
No, we have from day one. So we started in 2017, and we have since been awarding TVET institutions, both TVET personalities, TVET development partners that are supporting TVET development, and also TVET institutions. Myself, I chair the Ghana Agriculture Sector Skills Body for Commission for TVET, and I have been involved in this for over the past 7 to 8 years. So our understanding of the TVET sector is quite clear. That is what we need to transform the agriculture sector. Skills is very important.
Right.
Yes.
But overall, how many awards are we looking at?
So we are looking at 44 awards, with 8 being going for lifetime achievement. We have distinguished people that have done a lot for this country, and it's time we recognize them. It's time that we appreciate them while they are alive. So we will have this in Ghana. Next year, it could be held in South Africa, Morocco, Nigeria, because they are coming and they are bidding to host it next year.
I see. That's interesting. I've seen some, some of these agri events also go to Rwanda. I don't know whether that's a place you are considering based on what they are doing in agriculture. So I see a number of awards: Agribusiness Industry, Agribusiness Company of the Year, Promising Agribusiness Company of the Year. There's also Livestock Company of the Year, Vegetable Value Chain. So like you mentioned, quite a number of them. But what are the KPIs? What goes into selecting an individual, an entity for any award?
So the good thing is, unlike any other awards out there in the name of agriculture or agribusiness, we are a chamber. So we proceed over the industry. We have partners and we have membership. So we are not a company. So we are not more of the profit aspect. We have a partnership with BASPAC, that's the Business Advisory Service Providers Association of Ghana. We have the Ghana Agriculture Economics Association. And we have all our other partners, NASDAQ, CropLife, VPEC, all other associations. So nominations come from all of them. Then we have a centralized committee made up from representations from all these institutions, and they'll come together to look at the profiling. After that profiling is done, then it goes to a team of experts. So industry finished working. So we are actually bringing in the way of designing TVET curriculums. So we design this so the TVET curriculums is designed by industry, 70% of the industry, 10% of academia, 30% of academia research. That is the same process that this.
So for these 44 awards, how many generally did you get in terms of nominations?
We had over 270.
And out of that, you picked 44?
Yes, not only in Ghana, but across the continent. So some of us were in South Africa 2 weeks ago to meet the South African team, profile them. So we have Nigerians that also profiled, Morocco, Egypt, Rwanda. So this is not.
So it's pretty broad.
Yeah,
it's becoming African.
Exactly.
The footprint is spreading far beyond Ghana.
One major criteria for this award is that the country that is hosting wins 70% and 30% to the continent, because we want to, because it's moving from country to country.
Right.
Sometimes you may be missing a very important awardee who should be awarded, but because it's more continental, they are being missed. So we want to take into consideration. So you see more of Ghanaian companies winning and personalities, and you should come to see who is going to be the most influential agribusiness CEOs
of the year.
Okay,
so let's talk about the event proper as we cap off the conversation. Of course, your strategic partners are Abanga Group, Ghana Agrofood, Ghana Plast, Print Pack, and GeoVision. I'll let you shout them out at the very tail end. But the theme, after an Africa's agriculture sector, synergy to stimulate and accelerate sustainable economic growth and food security. What went into that? Why that?
Well, this is the first time we are hosting the awards as an African Agribusiness Excellence and Leadership Awards. And we deem it fit that we need to promote the after, we need to promote the good works. After is a big animal, it's a rolling stone, but everybody needs to come on board to give it a push. For the agriculture sector,
we've not even started tapping into after yet.
Not
Where
yet,
is it?
just like the Agua. So we are beginning a project next year with GIZ ECOWAS called the EAT, which is the ECOWAS agriculture trade, and which is also a major component of this. And we deem it fit that based on our next year's projection as a country, industry, and as a chamber, we want to promote as many trade within the Africa continent between Ghanaian businesses and that of our continental partners. We have already done that with Egypt, with Morocco. South Africa is one of the biggest trade partners to Ghana, and we are also deepening that with Ivory Coast and also with Nigeria, of course. So we realize that there is a need to have a strategic synergy, a synergy that possibly does not involve too much outflows of money, but a way to move goods and services in a way that supports industrialization. So for instance, if Nestle is in Ghana, Nestle is in Nigeria, and I'm a maize producer and Nestle needs my maize in Nigeria, it should be flown to them, but Nestle here could possibly also pay me in kind with input, with machinery. So we are looking at a broad-based approach within the value chain. What is possible, because now global funding is drying up, investments are drying up. Today I was looking at something that somebody says that why is it difficult for investors to put in money into the African market? Is it the knowledge gap, or is it our culture that is not fitting into the global system?
Right.
So we need to redesign our own trade rules. We need to design our own trade policies that actually assimilate within our culture. Let's not just adopt and embrace it. We're not looking at the French policy of assimilation. I know you speak a lot of French, but we're looking at the Greek assimilation system, where the culture, the people are integrated and not delink from the system.
Right.
They have to be properly aligned so that we are able to advance the cost of trade, especially food trade in Africa.
So to cap off the conversation, it's happening at the Accra International Conference Center Wednesday. What's the time? Who can participate? And then you can shout your sponsors.
3 p.m. is the time. We don't want to do a late show. And all the international exhibitors are also part of it. So if you want to increase your networking opportunity, this is the time. We are providing special invitations. But if you are out there and you want to be part of it, you can give it us a shout, or you go to our website and send us an email, Chamber of Agribusiness, Ghana.org, and we will also pay attention to your email. But we want to say a big thank you to Fairtrade, our strategic partners, and also, most importantly, AHK, who have been partners with the Chamber for the past years. Stephanie Simon, the manager, she's been fantastic, and we wish to continue to do this with you. And we want to also say a big thank you to our sponsors, Broad Spectrum, Maflix, and Agris of Ghana.
All right. Well, this has been our interaction with Anthony Morrison, Chief Executive of the Chamber of Agribusiness. Of course, they have that event coming up tomorrow at the Grand Arena, the Accra International Conference Center, the Africa Agribusiness Awards. Anyone and everyone who is in the sector, who matters, ought to be there. And of course, there will be many awards going about. I know I've followed this for a few years now. A few years ago, I was at the Marriott event. So congratulations on keeping it alive. And it's good to see someone from my alma mater joining the conversation today. Well, do stay with us, because up next we'll be connecting to talk all finance and economics, if you like, when we contemplate the Graphics Stanbic breakfast meeting. We'll be taking you there live. But the 2023 European Union Climate Week event is just around the corner. So join us on Wednesday, that is tomorrow, the 22nd of November, from 2 p.m. at the West African Center for Crop Improvement, University of Ghana, Accra, for an insightful discussion on building resilience at community level, supporting farmers to adapt to climate change. The event will be live on your Super Hits Radio, Joy 99.7 FM, from 2 p.m. The event is also part of the EU Climate Diplomacy Week and aims to bring together experts, thought leaders, stakeholders to discuss critical issues related to climate change and its impact on agriculture. There will be a panel discussion, or a number of them, in fact, delving into practical strategies for supporting farmers, addressing the challenges they face due to climate change. And the EU Climate Diplomacy Week is part of an annual global campaign launched by the European Union and its member states to foster cooperation on climate change and inspire real action. So, do not miss this incredible event. Save the date, spread the word, and be part of the movement towards a greener and more resilient future. Stay tuned for more events in Ghana under the EU Climate Week. You can find more details on the EU in Ghana social media pages, Facebook or LinkedIn at European Union in Ghana, on X or Twitter, YouTube, Instagram at Europe in Ghana, all put together. And that's for you to take note of. So, two gargantuan agric-related events tomorrow coming your way. One at the University of Ghana, like I just mentioned, and the other one at the Accra International Conference Center, Grand Arena. Do stay with us. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back on the AM show. We'll be crossing over to the Labadi Beach Hotel shortly, but let me, before that, tell you about the Royal Cozy Hotels in Jrapa. That is Jrapa, Dubai, as they call it, this Christmas season. You've seen the rest. Now it's time to see the best. Take a break from work this Christmas and take a break from the South. The Royal Cozy Hotels re-energize this Christmas holiday. It is away from the stress of the South. Now this is what awaits you. Number one, an unforgettable safari experience. There's an amazing array of wildlife, including lions. Yes, you heard me right. The hippopotamus is there, zebras, ostriches, among many others, using our spacious and well-secured game tour vehicles or using quad bikes. There's also water sports such as jet skiing, boat or canoe rides, and more. And there are other games, various family games to keep you and your family excited every day. Also on the list, great tourist attractions in the Upper West region, including the Mushroom Rock, Slave Caves, among others. So escape from the south, escape to the north, escape to Royal Cozy Hotels, or the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, Japa Dubai, as it's popularly called, for an unforgettable safari experience this Christmas season and beyond. For reservations, just call this number, 0501 694 280 or 0248 844 463. If you'd like to make further inquiries as well, you can call them there. But we also know that the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has been in the northern regions and he has been on a thank you tour. Well, currently we connect with Samuel Mbura of our political desk. He is with Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, flag bearer of the MPP, for a conversation. Samuel Mbura, if you can hear me, where specifically in the northern region are you? And take us through this interaction with the Vice President.
Yeah, Benjamin, if you can hear me, good morning to all our viewers in Accra and across the country. We are currently in the northern regional capital, that is Tamale.
Samuel, I have to interject because the connection is not exactly the best. The quality of sound is not the best. Maybe you could reposition yourself so that we can get the connection better. We cannot hear you so well. Samuel Mbura, if you can hear me. We'll try to get that done so that we can hear exactly what he has to say and what the Vice President has to say as well. The connection a bit patchy in that part of the country, but as you can see them there in the bus with the Vice President together with the chairman of the party as well.
Minority Chief Whip, Honorable Habib, and a host of others joining him. That time may not permit us to exhaust all the names. But at the moment, we are heading towards Yendi. Yesterday, the Honorable Defense Minister was also here, and we are heading towards his constituency in Bimbila and other areas. So subsequently, the team will be heading towards the Savannah region, Damango to be specific, and Saboba and other areas. So I just want to get brief comments from the people around. But you know, unlike the usual display of V8 engines that we mostly see during campaign seasons, it's quite different. The Vice President, even at the time he picked nomination forms and started his campaign to lead the MPP as a flag bearer, this has been his way of campaigning. So he and his people are always in one bus, moving from one place to the other to campaign. We know very well that this mostly, or elections mostly come with higher costs, but he wants to operate with a lean team in his campaign tour. So at the moment, as you can see in the bus, all those who are with his team are seated here in the bus whilst we are moving towards the Yendi area. So just right in front of me is the National Chairman, Stephen Ayensu team. With the Vice President. So let me just hear from them briefly. Your Excellency, you're live on Joy News. How are you feeling this morning?
Very well, thank you very much.
Okay. All right, we really want to just say a word to Ghanaians. I mean, this is a thank you tour to the people of the northern region, but you are speaking to the whole Ghana.
Well, just to thank everybody for the support that we have enjoyed so far. I'm looking forward to the rest of the campaign and to a robust engagement with all the participants. Thank you.
So, all right, so that's the Vice President. He wouldn't want to speak further because we know definitely that he's actually tired from the journeys there. But he is grateful to Ghanaians for this opportunity given him, and then he's going around to talk to his people. Honorable, good morning. Thank you very much. You want to share a word with us on the Joy News channel. What do you have to say so far as this campaign and the election is concerned?
Yeah, it's been exciting being here in the northern region with the Vice President. You can see how enthusiastic the people are here to receive him, and we are good to go.
What does this, would you say it's a kickstart of the main election, campaigns for the 2024 general elections?
It's always better to start from home, and this is where we are getting the home support, all the home support. So I believe with the support that we are enjoying here, it will engulf everywhere in the country. We believe in breaking the 8 come 2024.
What do you make of the reception?
The reception, great. We've had a welcoming home.
Well, at least some reactions from the campaign team of the Vice President. He's been elected flag bearer of the MPP, and he's been on this thank you tour of the northern belt of the country. Now they are in the northern region, and that is where we connected with Samuel Mbura of our political desk. The Vice President just sharing a few words, saying he was thankful to the people. We'll bring you the latest on that development as matters unfold. But stay with us. We just had to intervene with that scoop, live scoop that we brought you. We'll bring you more on that on the show and in our subsequent bulletins. But stay with us.